Welcome to Voice of Stories. Discover tales that inspire, captivate, and bring words to life. Subscribe for unforgettable stories.
At Kaiser Hospital in Baldwin Park, Angelina rushed her husband Frank to the emergency room. He couldn't stand. He couldn't talk. "Something's wrong," she explained, anxiety in her voice. She recounted that on Tuesday, September 5th, Frank had visited Angel Gate Academy to chaperone a school event. Frank, a special education teacher, had worked with troubled 6th and 7th graders there, including a fellow educator, Angelina. They eventually married in April 2000. That day, Frank's visit to Angel Gate was a last-minute request to act as a chaperone, and though his name hadn't made the list of attending staff, everything seemed fine. When Frank returned, he told Angelina the kids had been great, welcoming him with hugs and showing affection as if he were at home. However, just days later, Frank began feeling ill. It wasn't constant, Angelina said. Maybe every half hour he'd feel nauseous. Despite her concerns, he insisted on going to Angel Gate. She even argued with him before he left, urging him not to go. She would later regret it deeply. Angelina soon suspected that something sinister had occurred at Angel Gate. She believed someone had poisoned Frank, suspecting that his food there might have been laced with something dangerous. Her fears grew darker when she learned more about Frank's previous work at Angel Gate Academy. Frank had left under complicated circumstances, involving disturbing behavior from his supervisor, Chad Holloway. Frank and Angelina had reported the issues, leading to a wave of terminations at the academy. This made Angelina fearful that Frank's whistleblowing might have angered Chad, who might now be seeking revenge. Angelina recalled a chilling conversation between Frank and Chad. "If anyone jeopardizes my job, I'll make them regret it," Chad had warned Frank. This added to her suspicions, leading her to believe that Chad might be involved in poisoning Frank. When detectives began their investigation, they questioned Chad. "I was under the impression that they were convinced I did it," Chad explained, but there was no evidence to prove that he had harmed Frank. Despite his frustration with the accusations, Chad insisted he had no involvement. The investigation took a shocking turn when Frank's toxicology report revealed that his body contained dangerous levels of ethylene glycol, a deadly substance found in antifreeze. Frank's levels were 6 times the lethal dose. Angelina was convinced this was the evidence they had been waiting for. But there was one major issue. The authorities had no proof that Chad had anticipated Frank's visit to Angel Gate on September 5th. Without proof of premeditation, Chad's defense could claim it was not a calculated act. As the investigation continued, authorities began to turn their attention to Angelina herself. Her behavior in the aftermath of Frank's death raised alarms. She called the police nearly every day, asking for updates, showing an unsettling level of urgency. One particularly chilling conversation took place when Angelina inquired about how the coroner would handle Frank's body. When the detective explained that they hadn't determined the cause of death yet, her response seemed too indifferent. Suspicion deepened when Angelina made an odd comment to a detective about a toxic plant, oleander, and its potential use as a poison. She even pointed out oleander bushes to Frank's family, suggesting how someone could use it to poison him. This prompted the family to encourage the authorities to investigate further, but testing for oleander poisoning wasn't part of standard procedures. Detectives then learned that oleander poisoning could be easily missed, if not specifically tested for. On October 19th, over a month after Frank's death, Angelina contacted Sergeant Holmes with disturbing news. She had received a call from an anonymous person. The caller claimed that Chad had said, "They can't pin me for it." The conversation ended abruptly, but the words antifreeze were clearly mentioned before the call disconnected. Investigators, intrigued by this information, immediately ordered a test for antifreeze poisoning. However, the plot thickened when detectives found that no calls had come in or out of Angelina's phone at the time she claimed to have received the mysterious call. With new doubts raised about her involvement, the investigation intensified. Then, the autopsy results came in. Traces of both antifreeze and oleander poisoning were found in Frank's system. These findings confirmed the investigators' worst suspicions. But the case took another unexpected twist when Chad, who had previously been questioned, received a call from Angelina. In the conversation, Chad asked, "What did you tell the police?" "That I poisoned Frank?" He then demanded to know how she had gotten his number. Angelina, startled, ended the conversation, unaware that detectives had orchestrated the entire exchange. They had been recording all of her conversations. In one particularly telling moment, Chad said, "You're going to ruin my life." Angelina, unaware that she was being trapped, responded, "You don't know what you're talking about." But detectives knew they were getting closer to the truth. The final breakthrough came when Angelina made another phone call, claiming that Chad had threatened her. She said, "He told me they'd never catch him." But unbeknownst to her, this was all part of the police's plan. They had orchestrated everything, and every word she said would be used against her. Detectives now had the evidence they needed. They confronted Angelina with the findings and her suspicious behavior. In the end, it was clear that Angelina had orchestrated a devious plot to have Frank killed, framing Chad in the process. The evidence against her was undeniable. Introduction. Welcome back to Mysterious 7, where today we dive into a truly unsettling case of manipulation, greed, and betrayal. In a tale that spans years of deceit, an unsettling pattern emerged around Angelina, a woman who seemed to have it all but harbored a dark and dangerous plan. From her mysterious actions to her secretive conversations, this case will make you question how far someone will go for money, power, and control. The suspicion grows. Detectives investigating Frank's death began to unravel a shocking story, and Angelina, the seemingly loving wife, was at the center of it all. To dig deeper, they turned to one of Angelina's close friends, Palmyra Gorham, who held crucial information. Palmyra recalled a conversation from late July where Angelina mentioned making a special milkshake for Frank. When Palmyra asked if Frank was sick, Angelina cryptically responded, "Not yet." This comment, at the time brushed off as casual, now seemed to foreshadow something far darker. But there was more. Palmyra also revealed that Angelina had been unhappy in her marriage, even joking that if she killed Frank, she'd at least get some money. While Palmyra dismissed it at the time, in hindsight, it was clear these words weren't a joke. The tactics of deception. As detectives pieced together the clues, they focused on the growing web of lies Angelina spun. One of their key tactics was confronting her with evidence suggesting her prior knowledge of Frank's visit to Angelgate. Angelina's response was telling. She sent anonymous faxes and letters, practically spelling out the details only the killer could have known. Despite her attempts to cover up the truth, the evidence against her kept piling up. Detective Steinwand and Holmes paid a visit to Angelina's home on February 7, 2001. During the conversation, Angelina continued to deny any involvement, even offering to take a lie detector test. But the detectives weren't fooled. With mounting evidence, poison found in Frank's system, suspicious phone calls, and an anonymous fax they received, the truth was slowly closing in on her. The final nail in the coffin. Angelina's behavior grew even more suspicious after Frank's death. Investigators discovered a napkin with the sheriff's fax number in her home, as well as a piece of paper with calculations on how she planned to spend Frank's life insurance payout. This wasn't just about money. It was a chilling glimpse into her twisted priorities. Then further investigation uncovered another shocking detail. Angelina had been growing an oleander plant in her yard, a toxic plant that could have been used in the poisoning. But that wasn't all. Just hours after Frank's death, she called the insurance company to inquire about how quickly she could get the payout. Her desperation was evident, as if she were practically begging for the money. The plot to murder Palmyra. But the story didn't end there. While awaiting trial, Angelina attempted to manipulate her friend Palmyra into changing her testimony. When Palmyra refused, Angelina's behavior turned even more sinister. She went as far as to solicit the murder of Palmyra from her fellow inmate Gwendolyn Hall, offering $20,000 for the hit. What happened next was even more shocking. Instead of carrying out the murder, Gwendolyn played a double game, recording their conversations and passing the evidence on to authorities. She even staged a fake murder to further implicate Angelina, making it clear just how far Angelina was willing to go to eliminate anyone who stood in her way. The trial. When the trial began, more disturbing details about Angelina's past came to light. Her ex-husband, Tom, revealed that he had always been suspicious of her actions. He even questioned whether the tragic death of their daughter, Alicia, in 1992, had been part of a darker plan. The couple had sued the makers of a recalled pacifier after Alicia choked, receiving a large settlement. Tom now wondered if Angelina had orchestrated the death for financial gain, just as she had done with Frank. The investigation also uncovered another chilling detail. Just before Frank's death, Angelina had confessed to her lover, Lauren, about leaving the gas on in the garage, hoping it would either cause an explosion or make Frank pass out. Thankfully, Frank had alerted authorities to a gas leak, which likely saved his life. The conviction. On January 12, 2004, Angelina was convicted of murder and sentenced to death. Her calculated behavior, from poisoning Frank to plotting the murder of Palmyra, left no doubt in the minds of the jury. She had masterminded his death for the insurance money, all while manipulating those around her. Despite the conviction, Angelina remained calm. In court, she expressed only mild regret for her actions, but denied ever intending to kill Frank. Her reaction was chilling. Her pursuit of money and control had led her to make unthinkable decisions with tragic consequences. The aftermath. As we reflect on Angelina's case, we can't help but wonder how different things might have been if her actions had been noticed sooner. Would Frank's death, Palmyra's near murder, or even the tragic passing of her daughter have been prevented? The case serves as a haunting reminder of how far greed and manipulation can push a person to commit unimaginable acts. Justice, in the end, was served. Angelina's crimes were exposed, and she paid the price for her deceit and treachery. But what about the victims? For them, the trauma of her actions will never truly fade. Conclusion. Thank you for joining us on this unsettling journey into one of the most chilling cases of greed, manipulation, and murder. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think there were warning signs that could have prevented these tragedies? And as always, let us know what case you'd like us to explore next. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like and subscribe to Mysterious 7. Until next time, stay curious.